This week, let's talk about Miami playing at the Florida Gators. Miami is our 16th ranked team in our Play the Fight Song Top 25. They are visiting the Swamp in an absolute tough atmosphere. They are a 2.5-point favorite live, I believe, but I saw it at 3 as well. Jake, tell us about this game.
Yeah, if the Florida defense that was playing at the end of the year last year shows up in this week 1 matchup, it will get ugly and it'll get out of control. The good news is the secondary is pretty much brand new. I think the defensive line is going to be able to hold their own. I think it's going to be better. And I think the Swamp is going to be, for lack of a better term, a swampy mess Saturday. It's going to be hot. Granted, you're playing an in-state team as well. So really, what does that matter? I don't know, but we know that the Swamp is one of the tougher places to play. And I think both of these teams have a lot to prove going into this matchup. I'm sure that we will overreact whatever team ends up being on the losing side on our next podcast next Tuesday or Wednesday. But that being said, we've raved about, or at least personally we've raved about Miami's offensive and defensive line, the line of scrimmage. It's got to prove it on Saturday. Ruben Bain Jr., defensive end for Miami. I want to see you get after Graham Mertz. Here's a question I posed in my notes. Are we sure this isn't the biggest game that Cam Ward's played in his college career? Going back and thinking of some matchups, I know that they've played in some bigger games. I remember Wisconsin being a primetime game for Washington State.
Yeah, you might have to stat check me. I do think they played in like a 4-0 and 4-0 Oregon-Washington State matchup and got blasted.
Wasn't Oregon State the game they had a big one last year?
I don't remember. But you're probably right. It's probably top 2 for sure, if not 3.
It feels like to me, the casual college football fan knows who Cam Ward is, but like the really like people who watch one game a week, they're not going to know who Cam Ward is, I don't think. And this is a good opportunity to showcase it. I just don't know what we're going to get. I think Graham Mertz could play better than Cam Ward on Saturday if things go right for him, if the run game works for him. But I love the weapons on Miami. I'm higher on them this year. They might make me put a pie in my face next week, but I really like Miami in this game. I think they're a legit team this year.
2 questions. 1, are you putting that on the table? Like if they lose, will you put pie in your face?
An actual pie in my face.
I mean, Village Inn right down the road.
Ty Benson can do it for you. We'll get time here.
Live, maybe, or at least a clip. I mean, you threw it out there. I'm just trying to capitalize off of your words. Okay, I like that. I think the one question I posed, and this was kind of taking a second look at Miami, this is a second-tier college football skill position all-star team. I think both Cam Ward, Damian Martinez, and Xavier Restrepo are all that tier 2, like exactly like you said, where a casual would know who they are, but if you were a one-game watcher, you wouldn't know who Damian Martinez is. You wouldn't know who Xavier Restrepo is. So can those guys be enough to roll into one of the tougher environments in the SEC and the country in the Swamp? And the Florida fans know this is a huge opportunity to, 1, build off of a season and a schedule that everybody tells you you're going to lose 7 games, 8 games. If you get this game, all of a sudden that conversation flips to, wow, who are they going to take down next? Is this team for real? Can they blow the 5.5 out of the water? Because there's so much hype going around this Miami squad that it's just setting Florida up for success. I think if you look at Florida, you got to force some turnovers. You know, Cam Ward's got him in his back pocket. He's thrown a ton of picks before in his career. Can you force turnovers and all of a sudden get into that mode where Graham Mertz can take over? I also think Graham Mertz is probably one of the better transfers we've seen since the portal became a thing without saying anything. Like Florida wasn't blowing me away last year, but Mertz completed 72% of his passes and only threw 3 picks the entire season. So I don't believe he gets enough love. I think Florida can do this weekend. I really do, without giving away my score prediction, but I think it's going to be closer than people think. And I don't think Miami is going to be hindered by a week 1 loss at Florida. Like, I still think they can be what we thought they were going to be with losing this game, which is a plus note for Miami fans. But Reese, what do you think on this game?
Well, I think the big thing we mentioned too, like Florida had that running back injury, Montreal Johnson. I believe that's the game. The guy is still injured. So like that's gonna hurt. Like if they can't get a solid run game going, like that's gonna put a lot of pressure on Graham Mertz. And like JP, asked that question. Like if this Miami secondary is legit, then this can be one of the top 3 defense in the ACC. And if they are, then I think they have a clear shot to be in the playoff at the end of the year. But I think too, like you just mentioned, all those guys, the second tier all-stars for Miami. I just think with that injury for that Florida offense, I think that Miami offense is going to be able to outlast them more. As long as Cam Ward does not turn that ball over and we see bad Cam Ward, if we're going to see average or good Cam Ward, I just think this offense is going to be just a little bit more successful. I mean, going into the Swamp too, it's probably the most hostile place he's played in. I mean, I believe they went to Camp Randall, but I would argue that maybe, the Swamp's a little more hostile than that place. But I like Miami in this spot, whether it being the road game. You did talk about too, like the loser of this game, I think, is going to have a lot of toxicity surrounding that program, especially with it being week 1. But I mean, if Miami loses this game week 1, they're still kind of have a chance for the season. Game. Well, I'm sorry, sorry. But it's like if they lose this game, go ahead.
It's not a conference game, so I'm saying like they could still definitely win the ACC. Like I don't think that'll change my opinion.
And you wouldn't even be, as long as they're competitive and in the game and at least showing a little life, like you're not even going to get hate from the college football world. Rolling into the Swamp, I know Florida's had the downside turns this offseason talking about they're not going to win 5 games because their schedule. That's great. It's still Florida. Like it's not like you're rolling out and playing Boston College.
They're not playing. They're not open up at Rice Eccles this year, where weird stuff happens. They do get open up at home.
Absolutely. So we'll see if Florida can take advantage. Let's go score predictions. Jake, who you got winning this one?
I'm going Miami. I just think that
cover the number.
We might as well. It's if it's 3, we'll give them like 30-24. I mean, this game has the opportunity to be pretty hilarious. You have the undisciplined coaching style of Billy Napier. We saw how bad that team made mistakes in the Utah game last year when they went to Salt Lake City, and then you never know what you're going to get out of a Mario Cristobal game plan. So this game could be pretty funny. I'm going to go with the team that I think is more talented right now, and it's Miami. So,
all right. So Miami off the board, pick 1. I'll go next. And I'm glad you mentioned the Mario Cristobal coaching thing because I haven't seen enough from him yet to tell me he can go win on the road at a place like Florida. So not without giving too much away. I'm taking Florida to win this one 34-31. I think they can get it done. Ooh. I think you're asking too many pieces to fit into this offensive scheme, which hasn't impressed me much anyway. I mean, Tyler Van Dyke turned the ball over X amount of times within this offense. I think Florida can get this done. I really do. I'm going to take in Florida to win this one at home, 34-31, because of the home field advantage and because Cristobal needs to show it and prove me wrong. Reese.
Parks is a big fan of Tom Petty, apparently. I'm still going to take
You are too. Wait a second.
I am. But I'm saying in this one, I don't think Tom Petty's going to have enough going for him. The fans are going to be up, but I'm going to take Miami. I'm thinking 27-20. I think Miami wins and they'll cover the number. I just don't know if 34-31. I just think that's a lot of points for like this early in the year, especially for like when we just don't really know what teams are going to be like 100%. I just don't know if it'll be that high scoring.
Going to be messy. 34-31. Florida's going to win it. Book it. I don't know what JP's is. You'll check his on the board, but that is Miami at Florida. That one's going to be a fun one. 2:30 on ABC.